As of the first of this coming month, we'll end the 4 months of this journey. The journey of the individual. Soul searching. The journey of spiritual descent into the immersion of one's path. In shamanism, they refer to this as the soul journey. It is a spiritual journey that only one person can take. It's personal to the individual. The first quarter year is one that is trivial. It takes extreme isolation. It takes dedication, commitment, focus, and most importantly, take somebody that is willing to sacrifice everything to find the true self. Who you are, what you are, where you've been, but most importantly, what you become. What are you becoming? Where are you going? You tend to take notice of events that were life altering. Like the first time you experienced death. I remember that clearly. Being in fourth grade, having a kid look up to me, followed me around, idolized me. Then one day, he stopped showing up to school. And the announcement came. The announcement came. He and his father had died in a fire. That was the first time that death left its mark upon my life. And since then, every friend that I've made perished. Every thing I've ever liked ended. Why? The death essence, that tarnishing, that branding, that touch. Think of it as the hand of death, where the Grim Reaper takes you in the palm of his hand. You see, I didn't know it back then, but I was destined to become a necromancer. I didn't know it back then. Over the last 4 months, I've reflected upon my life, from the choices I've made to the battles that I've been in. You see, it's been an uphill journey. acquiring knowledge, standing my ground. And there was a passage tonight that came to my mind. I was in reflection, meditating in my temple. It was interesting to say the least because I utilized the seal that was shown to me a couple of days ago. I didn't know what this seal was. I didn't know what its purpose was. I didn't know who it belonged to. I just know that it was viewed in my mind's eye. It is a seal of truth, enlightenment, the seal of the self, the true self. And it's interesting to find that saying because when you reflect within fear, when you reflect within the chills of death, and you're following the tree of Da'ath, working with your patron or patroness to find yourself, you'd be surprised what you're capable of doing, discovering about yourself. You see, the blind that leads the blind does not end well. But if you learn to harness your senses by removing that which you use most, you tend to delve inward. You tend to awaken more potent senses. In the Gospels, for an example, I'm reminded of a passage that says, "Seek and you will find, knock and I will answer, ask and it shall be given." Over the last year, there's been a lot of changes in my life. I've discussed some of these changes in my videos. I've discussed aspects of events that took place that angered me, that left me cold, the chill factor. But upon this journey, I ended up setting up a whole new altar out of the blue. I started working solely with my patroness, setting up seals surrounding the sorcery that I work with, that my patroness is known to work with. And then I started eliminating my own senses. The biggest obstacle that one will find is learning to walk in the dark. What does that mean? Walking in the dark. If you cover your eyes, for an example, you tend to hone other senses, such as hearing. Start utilizing your third eye, focusing on that spiritual or psychic connection. You turn your vision inward. All the great philosophers state that before you can conquer the world, you must first conquer yourself. You must first master yourself. This is truth. It is enlightenment. Because truly knowing yourself is the first stage in mastering your craft and what you're about, what you became, or what you're becoming. To know is also the very first creed in the witch's oath. To know, to know thyself, to know thy craft, to dare to delve into that sorcery, to delve into those practices that most would not dare utilize. To will yourself to continue through, even though there's trials, hardships, adversities. The enemy has raised its head once again in my own life, but it's how I'm seeing these things unfold that is unique because it's not with the physical eyes. No, it's with the supernatural. It's with the third eye, the intuition, the spiritual aspect. And even though this is raised up, I thought about it. I reflected and utilized remote viewing. Started contemplating and projecting my will into the world. And the funny thing is, I gave a number to one individual. And this individual said that if you punch out, I'll give you money down the road, down later in the week. And it's ironic because you look at how this income is coming in, this number, small doses, but yet it's building. How titles are given because you're utilizing entities that are known for granting these titles, such as ambassadorships, titles such as overseer of all bakers, be it an AGM or assistant general manager position, assistant store manager or shift lead, a team lead, whatever. You know, spirits that are known for granting titles. To seeing how the time and energy that you put forth within your studies, your practices, and how they pay off because it's your mindset. It's being changed from the black alchemy within, from your the way you think to the way you react to things, the way you observe yourself and your surroundings. I was in Walmart the other day and I had a client come up to me and gave the store I work for a big two thumbs up. I looked at my store manager today, my GM, and I told him what this client had said. He was ecstatic. I made his day better just by relaying what that client had told me. The fact that I have their ear, his ear, I have my coworkers' ears. Knowledge is power. How they tell me things, reveal things. It's called trust and loyalty. But it's more than that. It's the application of results from your own work, your own commitments, your own dedications to your path, to what you do. Those of you who think that the left hand path is your type of thing, I want you to consider something. Why do you want to get into black magic? What aspects of wrathful and baneful sorcery attracts you? What is it about that there's a driving force for you to even consider getting into it? Is it something that you truly want to immerse yourself in for the long haul? Or is it just a game, shell company? Is it something that you just want to dabble in? And if that's the case, I wouldn't recommend it unless you want it to be in it for the long haul, because only through the long haul can you truly master yourself, to master your own world and your destiny. When I look back at my life, I look at the damage that I've done. I look at the relationships that I've destroyed just because I could. I look at all those people that died because they knew me. They were my friends. The last of my high school friends died in 2001. Unknown causes. She was 21 years old. Kind of puts a damper on making friends, don't you think? But over the years, I did what I always did. I immersed myself further into whatever I was practicing, whatever I was studying at that time. Then I became an elder in the communities, became a priest, but I continued to grow, continued to lose, to do battle. Then I found myself with a family, only to have that family broken up. But yet, those that I work with shared the fear. Fear. You see, your fears play a part in paranoia, but also your own downfall, which is why it's important to face those fears. The world reacts to fear, to paranoia, the big what if scenario. The populace is controlled by this. Look at the news, look at politics, look at your communities, and you'll see that everything is run by fear to control the populace. But what happens if you master that fear? You've taken a good, deep, dark look at yourself in a mirror. You sat in a dark room, or you sat in a chair looking at a wall. You lay on a bed and you reflect deeply, honestly at yourself. You question, is this worth it? What it's cost me? You see, it's that this goes into doubts. Doubts hinder your magic, your sorcery. But here it is. When you hone your way of thinking, you master your own self, your mind, you map it, you trace its roots, you begin to understand your own fear. And then you realize it's not that bad. Hmm. My greatest fear was not seeing my son again. But yet, my ex's mother has no control. Hmm. My son's mother herself, and I have 50-50 shares of our son. I know that's a corporate way of looking at it, but look at it from a parent's perspective. Mutual respect when it comes to our son. We both take responsibility for making sure he's taken care of. It's been notarized. He goes between my house and her house and his grandparents' house. And there's always that one thing that occurs every so often that comes to light. But here it is. When you realize that that's all it is nothing but paranoia, fear, to make you doubt yourself, to make you become stagnant, less of a threat, then you realize that what you do as an individual, as a warlock or a witch, a sage or a mage, necromancer, shaman, satanist, whatever path you're on, you realize what you do is important. You realize that you paint a bullseye on your back when you decide to take after the accuser, the tempter himself, Satan. A lot of people today believe that Lucifer and Satan are one and the same. Nowhere in the Bible does it say they're the same being. Nowhere in the Hebrew, Islamic, or mainstream JCI, not even in Catholicism, does it say they're the same thing, the same being. Lucifer's only sin was to question. That was his only sin. And he was cast out for it because he wanted to be seen as being equal to mankind. Why should he bow down to a man of clay when he is a being of fire? Are we not all your creation? Well, guess what? Satan, on the other hand, was fulfilling an office, a duty. As a Grigori, his job was to watch mankind. This associates him with the Watchers, not an archangel, a first class angel, going as far back as the Book of Enoch, the Book of Giants, and so forth. And it's ironic because when you look at his title, he simply accused mankind of not living right for their God, especially those of the Hebrew or Jewish cultures, the religious factions. Your people were not living right for you. But it was Jehovah that sent Satan after Job. A lot of people forget that. They forget this application. And it's ironic because nowhere in the Bible does it say that he killed Job or his friends, his family, his livestock. It just simply says that he lost everything and then eventually lost his own life. Did they ever consider that this happened over time? Accidents happen. Shit hits the fan. But it comes back to your way of thinking. Started with an accusation, started with a good, strong look saying, hey, are you blind? Do you not see that your creation is turning against you? That they're becoming the adversary? Which sets you up for the Gospels, the temptation of the man Jesus of Nazareth. He became the tempter, saying, if you bow down to me, I will give you all that you see. And then you see the arrogance, the pride, the ego of the so called Son of God. It's that old expression, pride cometh before the fall. Hmm. Something else that literally goes into the seven forbidden sins, or the seven sins themselves, later associated with seven crown princes. But here it is, right here. You see without seeing, you hear without hearing. The very young do not always do what they're told. Human nature is to rebel. Human nature is to create that chaos, to kill, to maim, to wage wars, to seduce. It doesn't matter how many laws you put into play. It doesn't matter how many borders you put up, how many kingdoms rise and fall. Until you take a good, strong look at yourself, you will never master yourself. And if you don't master yourself, how are you supposed to grow within your sorcery, within your magics? In fact, how are you going to apply this to your day to day lives, especially if you're casting spells, weaving sorcery to better yourself and your family? To quote another scripture, it says, you cannot serve God and mammon. You'll end up loving the one and hating the other, or loving the other and hating the one. I watch so many people on social media try to take a religion, a topic, and try to corrupt it and water it down to make it man made. And it goes to show that man is the only creature in existence in this plane, on this planet, that can take something good and turn it vile. Look at all these so called crimes against humanity. Hmm. Have you ever stopped to wonder why that occurs? There's only so much constriction that you can do before that twig breaks and that shit hits the fan. If you look at the very definition of black magic, nigromancy is the Roman variation of necromancy. It means the practice of black magic. It's the art of black magic. This associates necromancy, necromantia, as being the first of the seven forbidden arts, the blackest of all arts, according to the Hebraic systems. Why? Because those who dare to conjure spirits, to work with the dead, to study anthropology, thanatology, sociology, necrology, study human nature, history, folklore. What's wrong with that? Is knowledge such a crime that you have to limit people's voices? That you have to wage war against other religions to try to shut them up, to blot them out of existence? But what happens if you end up standing in front of that immovable object, that one being that refuses to die, that is unbeatable? I look back at my time in Texas. I look at my time when I first came to Maine. How many Christians stood in my way because they thought they were superior to me until they realized I knew my stuff. I knew their Bible better than them. I knew their ways better than them. I watched 3 counties rise against me in Texas. By the end of it, only one man, arrogant, prideful, egotistical, a Roman Catholic bishop, didn't just lose his parish, he was removed from that parish. He became the laughing stock of that community. Bobby Bledsoe made it personal, and I cursed him for that. He lost his family. He lost his church. He basically lost everything. And in this county, he was forbidden to have any further churches. Even his backers pulled away from him. You look back at these moments and you see what works and what doesn't. You look at black magic as being the balancer. You're taking an injustice and making it right. The one thing I've learned from my studies over the last 4 to 6 years in necromancy is that the ends justify the means. The victors write the history, but those who dare to defy, it takes one, just one, to create that spark. And that spark can become the wildfire that sweeps the land. Every major spark throughout history has created something new. It has terrified the enemy. Again, fear. The Shem priests worked with the dead. They embalmed, they cleansed, they did the burial rites, they worked with the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and they were run out of town. The Hashishin from the 6th century to the 12th century, were an elite class of holy men who were highly trained in combat, well respected and feared for good reason. Wiped out. The dark black shamans led by Genghis Khan, wiped out. They stood against the yellow shamans, wiped out. But yet shamanism's still around today. Necromancy's still around today. The priesthood is still around today. You look at the Dukan of Indonesia, shamans. They wielded both healing magics, but also destructive magics known as Sentet. There was a mass cleansing through Malaysia, through Indonesia. 160 to 180 Dukan butchered, slaughtered, out of vengeance and fear and ignorance. Out of fear. Because it's a heavily Islamic population. Christianity is all over the place. They're ruled by fear. But yet they never back up what they're talking about. But yet, if you look at the left-hand path, which is supposed to be about enlightenment and truth, self-mastery, you got nothing but drama. I remember about a year or two ago, I was friends with Christian Day, the self-proclaimed warlock. This man had already had a restraining order put against him by Lori Bruno, Strega, out of Massachusetts, Boston. Which is why he moved down to Louisiana, Napoleonic state. Ironic, right? He came to me one day, was completely agitated over somebody calling another person a monkey. Is that the worst thing you can call somebody? A monkey? So what? You can look at somebody and call them a dumbass. I don't see people getting worked up over that. I don't see people getting worked up over somebody calling another person a puppy monkey baby. You remember those old beer commercials back in the 90s? The puppy monkey baby. Love that one. But no, he got so worked up over somebody being called a monkey. A monkey. I just simply played the devil's advocate. I asked him, where's your proof? Where's the rest of the conversation? He could not and would not supply this. But all he had was this one little photo. That was it. And the ironic part is, all it takes for a riot to kick off is one little proverb, one little photo, one little video. And next thing you know, fear, terror sweeps the land. So, why is it important to know your craft? Why is it important to master yourself, to master your thought, to understand who and what you are? Why is it important to know what you're talking about? Knowing who you are is knowing what you're about, what you stand for, what you represent. More so, knowing what you practice, it is easy to back up what you preach with numerous sources. Knowing that you answer to the public, not just the spirits that you work for, keeps you humble. It keeps you motivated to continue for higher education, to continue learning, delving into your own descent, your own ascension. Tonight, while reflecting, I drew that seal that I had seen a few days ago in the air. I had one of those things over my eyes, the things that you'd sleep with, over your face, to help blot out the light so that you could see, you can sleep better. I was in full ritual robes, had all the candles and the incense going, and I was just reflecting when I did this seal. And that's when I understood what that seal represented. Knowing the self. Because only through knowing yourself can you rise like the phoenix and become a blight upon the earth. Stand your ground. Know what you're preaching. Back up what you preach. And always make yourself available to the public. Hold true to your creed, your oath, and never turn away from it. Because to do so brings obliteration. Have a good day or night.